hate on me any day.
You're always just saying.
The point of the movie is with great Marvel money comes great visuals.
Dad, I've came to bargain. I need to give you that money next week.
And then Rachel McAdams did what Rachel McAdams does best.
DMV, I've came to bargain. Fuck the DMV.
Yeah, no, fuck the DMV.
Welcome to Geeks Between Worlds, the crossover podcast where pop culture collides.
Thanks for joining us today. I am your host, Oscar Lucio, and we are with the always noble but never majestic Steven Scotthorn. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I want you to know I'm sometimes a majestic.
Not today.
All right. Well, I guess I'm not today.
Not today. Yeah. But you are here for a very specific reason.
I am.
Aren't you?
I am always here for a specific reason. But it's more specific this time. All right. Even all the listeners are just like, gosh, shut the fuck up, Steven.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Fuck you. No. No. So we have a couple consoles that came out recently.
Yes, we did.
Pretty great ones. One that you can probably easily get, and one you couldn't get if you sold your soul to Satan.
Not.
I mean, it is the hardest thing in the world.
That might be too easy to get the NES Classic,
Seriously,
to be honest. Yeah.
Like there'd probably he'd be like, you know what? There's a line to sell your soul to me, and there's already 12 spots. I only got 12 NES.
he's like offering other stuff. He's like, well, I don't got the NES, but I mean, I can give you good looks until you're about 50, and he's all out of that NES Classic though.
Yeah,
he's just already
nothing,
out.
Nothing. Sorry for it. Sold out in 4 minutes. Sold out in 4 minutes.
Sold it all 804, 1111.
Seriously. So, but first, let's get down to what we're fanboys about. You and I, we love the PlayStations.
We do.
We love them. We love them. The PS4 Pro came out recently. The Slim came out just about a month ago too. They actually announced it, and they were just like, it's out next week. Wubba lubba dub dub. And you're like, cool. Slim's out. No optical port though. So
Yep.
you pretty much disband the Slim out of your whole life. I saw you shit on one. You shit on a Slim.
I did. I work at a place where Slims are easily available, and I shit on one.
Yep.
I put it on a Snapchat video. Added some cool filters.
And now you're not on Snapchat.
They definitely banned me.
Yeah, I bet you Snapchat wouldn't even ban you.
Probably not.
They'd just be like, this is Snapchat. You shit on whatever you want.
I mean, yeah, it's Snapchat.
Just
shit on it.
Yeah, just like the PlayStation Store's kind of getting. It's just like, let's just shit on consoles because we're just going to throw whatever this My Name is Mayo game with the platinum. We can't even get Overcooked a goddamn platinum. What the fuck?
All I want is an overclocked platinum.
I know. Overcooked platinum would be dope.
That's all I need, just because we would get it.
Yeah, we would have
That
got
easy.
it. Yeah.
High five.
Not even that easy. It took us about 9 hours
3
consecutively.
stars.
3-star every level. Go play
Every
Overcooked. It's
Go do it.
fantastic. Let's get into this PS4
All right.
motherfucking Pro. 4K gaming, right?
Boom.
No 4K Blu-ray. A lot of people were upset.
I don't think that's completely necessary. Of course, the Xbox One S does have it, so that's where it's kind of like, well, this one does. But at least for me, I would not go out and be buying these 4K discs anyways. They're expensive. I think they're $30 each or something like that. So for me personally, that wasn't a problem whatsoever. What about you?
You know, it's weird for me because you never want to buy something that is lack of a feature.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing. At the same time, I think the Xbox menu, the store, is a fucking dumpster fire.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it. It's weird because Xbox Live 360, the arcade, the store, everything, it was so superior to PS3.
It was the better choice back then.
And now when I see Xbox One menu store, things like that, I feel like it's the PS3 now.
I also shit on it.
You know, you love shitting on things.
Yeah.
Probably a problem.
Yeah. I mean, it is
Probably.
basically Windows 10 into a system, so that's
Yeah.
probably why it's so bad.
And I fucking hate Windows 10. We don't have to get on that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah, we don't have to get on that. That topic pisses me off. So fuck all that. But
you,
anyway, the 4K Blu-ray though, I would have loved that in the machine. Let's not get that wrong. There's no reason why we don't want that. Everybody wants that in the machine. I mean, there's no getting around it, even if you're not going to use it, even if you don't plan on spending $30, $35 for a 4K Blu-ray, which I understand people don't really want to do either. I don't want to do it.
See, I probably wouldn't do that for every old movie, but then again, if they released some collection or something of movies, whether it be like maybe the Alien collection like you have, and then it was all 4K HDR, that's probably when I would be going in and spending $60, $80 for something, and that's probably all I would buy would be those collections. So I would use it. And then since I do have a 4K HDR TV, it would be nice, but at least it wasn't a breaking point for me whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. I have so much tied into my PlayStation account. I mean, that's a pretty easy process right here. But like as you were saying, you have 4K HDR. You bought the Pro, obviously, for your 4K gaming needs. Fantastic. I actually do not have a 4K HDR TV. I still decide on buying the Pro. Couple reasons. Obviously, you knew my disk drive wasn't up to par. It was getting very wonky.
Oh, your memory drive. You said disk drive.
No, my disk drive.
Oh yeah, your disk drive was bad.
It couldn't even pull in a disc. I mean, it was really hard. I mean, it would eventually, but I mean, it was sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like it had to be retired. So that's a huge reason. I'm not going to get the Slim, when I can pay $100. And plus, I was a PlayStation owner that never upgraded his hard drive.
Yeah,
So I would, it's a pretty easy thing. Get a machine for $100 that has 4K ability, advanced GPU, advanced hard drive for only $100. I mean, that's a pretty easy sell for me. If I would have already had the terabyte, maybe different.
Yeah, that's understandable. And I also want to point out, you don't use the optical out on the back of it anyways.
I don't.
So which I do, so that was kind of another reasoning. So yeah, what I'm interested in is now you've had about a week to play it without 4K. I'll talk about our experiences with the 4K afterwards. But not having a 4K TV, would you recommend now the PlayStation Pro to someone who also only had a 1080p screen?
A couple of requirements would have to be there. Like I said, if you didn't upgrade your hard drive, I think that's an easy sell.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to upgrade your hard drive, you're going to be spending around from $50 to $7,500 anyway.
Okay.
Everybody's going to want a 4K TV, right? We all want things.
Eventually, I see it was like HD TVs. Like for a while, it wasn't a thing, and now every TV everybody owns is HD TV.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually it'll get to the point. It'll probably be another 2, 3, maybe even longer years. But you're right. Yeah.
Eventually it's going to happen.
It's going to be normal.
And like I said, there's just, I mean, you have to really, obviously not care about optical cord, and maybe if you just don't have the money, you got to go Slim. There's a lot of great deals for Slim too.
Yeah.
Especially this coming Black Friday.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's coming up too. Also,
it'll be about like I think $250. I've been seeing everywhere.
$250 with Uncharted.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good deal.
It's fantastic.
I mean, that's a fantastic deal.
I'm pretty sure that's how much I bought my PS3 for that had Uncharted 3 on it. I think it was around $200 to $250. So and that was only 4 years ago.
So that's a pretty easy sell right away. I would also say playing Tomb Raider. What's nice about Rise of Tomb Raider is it gives you options for people that don't have a 4K TV. They have the enhanced visual option, which supposedly makes the visuals look a little bit better. I don't notice too much, but they have a 60 frames per second option, which is dope. I have played the game with the 60 frames per second, and that is so nice. It's so fluid. Her just stepping side to side, the game's already really fluid enough, but just doing all that, her raising the gun, raising her bow, like, you can really tell, like, it's a very nice thing.
Yeah.
So also a couple other games that I can't wait to play when I do get my 4K TV, Ratchet & Clank. Yeah. Ratchet & Clank so far is my game of the year. I love Ratchet & Clank. It was fantastic. I mean, dude, let's just play that game all the time. I love it. Insomniac nailed it. Can't wait to see what they do with Spider-Man. Like I told you before, I love this game so much, it made me want Naughty Dog to go back to Jak and Daxter. So it's a very strange thing, but it's a great game. I recommend to anybody that hasn't played it. You can get it for only $20 new right now. It's like, that's a fucking steal. Like,
No-
two back-to-back boss fights at the end. You know, it just makes you remember why you got into video games.
hmm Back when I was playing Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo Kazooie, all of those third-person adventure character mascot games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it really does. Like, if I knew someone that didn't play video games but they were open-minded to it, I'd stick them on Ratchet and Clank. It's like let's see it, because that's what would have drawn out the kid in me when I was younger. Like, if older me gave younger me that game, I mean, holy fucking shit. That would be just revolutionary. I loved it so much. Great humor. A lot of the characters know that they're in a video game, you know, so that's really nice little addition to it. You know, like, you see characters and, like, they'll be like, all right, well, hopefully I'll see you in the next reboot. And, like, the characters, like, the main characters, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, the main characters are the only people. Ratchet and Clank don't know that they're in a reboot, but everybody else does.
That's
So,
awesome.
so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I love when games are just completely transparent like that.
Another thing is VR. It helps certain VR games. PlayStation Worlds being the main one. PlayStation Worlds is fantastic anyway.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you brought up a really good point of why they didn't really sell the Pro to make the VR better. And the thing is because they wanted to sell VR units, but they didn't want to make it to be like, okay, well, it's so much better with the Pro, so you might as well get a Pro. Like, they want to be like, no, you can run this with any PS4, and that's such a good point. I did not realize that until you told me that.
No, yeah, that just would have been suicide for them if they were to say, you know, it doesn't run that great on the PS4. Here's it running on PS4. Here's it running on the Pro, because yeah, it would make people say, I'm going to wait until I get the Pro to actually get it. So that was kind of their best way around it. They're starting to slowly release the games that do look better. One of them being, as you said, PlayStation VR Worlds. It's not the entire game that looks better, but specifically like the main menu, when you got the light coming at you and you're able to choose the different games, that looks much better. And as well as the heist, that looks much better. Playing the Ocean's Descent game wasn't as noticeable, and some of the other ones not as much, so you can tell they put a lot of work into some of them. But then there's going to be a lot of future titles that really take control of the Pro's power. The first one I can really think about is it Farpoint?
Farpoint, yes.
Yeah, Farpoint is going to be one of those first, I think they're calling them second generation VR games that's really going to take control of it. And I think that's when they're going to start talking about how much more powerful it is once people already have it, the PlayStation 4. And then they were going to want to, of course, upgrade to the Pro, kind of like what we wanted to do, or what you wanted to do once you got the VR unit.
Yeah,
absolutely. You wanted the Pro right away, just knowing that it might run it a little better.
And like how you were saying, Mark Cerny kind of explains how it runs better, because right now with the PS4, which, I mean, only is assumption, I don't know if this is exactly right for VR Worlds, but he was playing a VR game with the Pro, and he explained that right now PS4 Pros run the game and run video, and it constantly knows what's projected around you 360 all the time.
Yeah.
To where with the Pro, you are able to focus what you're looking at, and it actually loads everything in front of you clearer and better, because it's not worried about everything that you're not looking at behind you and around you and all those things. So it's like that's a pretty cool thing. And I hope that they're able to do that more so.
And I guess before I go into the 4K, the next thing I kind of want to point out is one of the big downsides of the Pro is the fact that it's all based on the developer and based on the game. So it's not like every game you're going to buy is going to be supported. So like not every VR game right now supports Pro where it's going to look that much better, and not every PS4 game you get is going to look much better. For example, The Witcher 3 has absolutely no PS4 update, so it doesn't look any better. It's just going to be played in 1080p. But then you got a lot of first-party games like Uncharted, The Last of Us that are playing 4K, and some third-party games, a little older ones that are actually doing native 4K, like Elder Scrolls Online and Skyrim both are. So that, I think that leads to the next part. Yeah, 4K. First, I want to hear your impressions, because you got to play Ratchet and Clank in 4K, and we got to do a little bit of what was the other
Rise
game
of
we
Tomb
played?
Raider.
Rise of Tomb Raider.
So first off, Ratchet and Clank is a really beautiful game, and we weren't exactly on the last world yet when I was playing it. I really would have loved to play the last world on the game because it's such a tropical looking world. Like, man, that would have been the level for us to play. So I really want to get back to that and watch that in 4K because I think it'll be a lot different than what we saw like on the lava planet and things like that. So we also saw like the rail planet, which the water did look beautiful. Now, what really impressed me is watching that first main cutscene of Lara Croft in her room looking through all of her dad's stuff.
Yep.
That blew me away. I mean, that is what sold the PS4 Pro to me. It was such a beautiful scene. I mean, I was fucking captivated.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about one of the most, what's the word am I looking for? Not indulging. What's the word am I looking
Captivating?
for? No, that's what I just said.
Oh, you did.
When you're like into something.
Oh,
What the fuck is that?
Immersive?
Yeah. Okay, let me start. Watching that cutscene on Rise of Tomb Raider, I've never felt so immersed in a flat screen. Like, I've played VR now. I know what real immersion is.
Yep.
And that was the step under VR immersion. Like, I was fucking into that.
Her
Like,
leather jacket that she
the
had
leather
on.
jacket, the way her hair moved, her face when she's looking at like the cork board and like the lights on her face, you're like, wow, this is fucking beautiful. Like, that is the epiphany of what you want in 4K gaming. You know, a lot of people say it doesn't matter, you know, things like that, and which is understandable. I mean, it really doesn't enhance gameplay.
No, yeah,
when you get
true.
to like that 60 frames per second, that's when, you know, things like shooters and things are affected.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But I mean, wow, it's so captivating. Like, I don't see how you can be like, you know, I like this, and this, but then discard graphics because of how amazed you can be by graphics.
Exactly. It's not like the end all be all, like you were saying, with frame rate. Frame rate will actually improve on the game. But, I mean, no one has ever looked at a beautiful game and been like, this game is just too pretty. You know, this is way too
absolutely.
pretty. And so that's what's amazing. So, yeah, some of the games that really point out for me that I want to mention, Battlefield 1.
Battlefield 1, yeah.
Gorgeous in 4K, especially when you're going through the story missions, like just the smoke everywhere. I remember the reveal gameplay for Battlefield 1 that they had all of the celebrities doing. I remember watching it, and I was like, there's no way this game looks that good. They're running on high-end PCs. It's going to suck when I get this game because it's not going to look nearly that good. Lo and behold, it does look that great on the PS4 Pro. Just looking at just the way that the fog is set up, the graphics are just beautiful. And another one I was able to check out was Skyrim. Because of the old textures of the game, it doesn't exactly pop as much. But, I mean, some of like the water effects and everything does look really good. It's just an older game. Uncharted 4 was the next one, where that one has HDR, which that's another complicated part with the 4K.
High dynamic range, which is something newer to 4K TVs. It's mostly about color. It's a color option. Yeah,
and not every 4K TV is like that. So unfortunately, some early adopters of 4K might not even be able to use the HDR. But it really does make it pop. Not so much in some of the videos I was watching, but watching Uncharted 4 and playing that game was fantastic. It looked completely gorgeous. Going from the cutscene into gameplay transition was just mind-blowing. And there were parts in that game where, I mean, I played it recently. I beat it maybe a couple months ago. And I still, there were parts that looked so good, I didn't remember it. I was like, this part.
See, that's beautiful. That is fantastic. When something looks so much better, like it's almost like you're seeing it for the first time. And that's how that Lara Croft, like, I was like, wow, like, like, and it's sad because like when I do go home now, it's like, and I play Rise of Tomb Raider, like, it's never that now. You know what I mean? And like, I know the difference now, like, which is good, makes me happy that I adopted this system when it came out. Another thing is you got $10 for buying a Pro on your PlayStation account. Dope is dope.
Just found out last night. Guy turned on my PlayStation, got a little message, and it was like, here's $10 to spend on the PlayStation Store. And I was
that's cool. I'm down with that. That's PlayStation really helping you out, you know. But let's kind of get into a couple problems that we've been seeing with it. First of all, your first Pro that you picked up wouldn't stay on.
It was faulty. It turned off several times. The first 2 times it happened, I was playing Skyrim, so I assumed, well, that's just Skyrim for you, you know, just making my console turn off. and then it happened 4 separate times later that day. This time playing VR, and sometimes just in between VR games. So that was really unfortunate. I don't think I've ever had faulty hardware ever. So I was really disappointed. Turns out I wasn't the only one at the GameStop that I bought whose system just shit on them. There was someone else who did it, so I think there were a couple. So that was kind of scary, but second one, flawless. It works fine.
It works.
Yeah, nothing's happened to it so far. Nothing's turned off. The only time I think it froze or anything like that, I think it was due to the software, not the hardware.
Yeah, that's what happened when. No, it was that was actually mine. It was when we were playing Rise of Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it seemed like the game froze, but the console was fine. I was able to go into my menu and stuff like that. So yeah, it seemed like a software issue.
Yeah.
Another thing is that there's reports of it getting so hot that it's melting. You know, there could always be a hater out there trying to melt it, but you know who really want to do that?
Yeah.
And then there's the slight chance of when I did run Rise of Tomb Raider, my PlayStation was getting hot, and I mean, it got hot to the point to where I worried about playing Rise of Tomb Raider for a couple hours. Like when I do get my 4K TV, it's got HDR, I'm ready to go. Bam, it's pumping that out. Am I gonna be able to play this game for 3 hours? 2 hours? Am I going to actually be able to do that? Because I won't lie. I would fully believe that gets too hot to where something would happen, because it got hot. It got hot. I mean, I'm a total believer in this system, but it got way hot. It got so hot. I put it in my box. I had a 30-minute drive back to my house. Granted, it was in a box, you know, I mean, but it was still warm. And that's had to been 45 minutes after, with me packing it up, getting in my car, driving home. You know, that's 45 minutes to where the console is still warm when it came out of the box. So that kind of tells you the type of heat that is pumping out. Another thing is that I'm fine with getting a little battery operated fan or something behind it that just blows on my console. That isn't a problem with me.
Buy one of those little Nyko like PS4 add-on accessories.
Well, we'll see. That's kind of gets weird though, because most of those, your Ps4 is powering it. So it kind of doesn't make sense. It doesn't really, I'm not a believer in those types of fans. Yeah. Me, I would get a battery operated fan and put it right behind it. You know what I mean? That's what I would do. But at the same time, I shouldn't have to do that. Yeah. You know?
I can at least say from me playing, I've definitely had game sessions that lasted over that long. Not specifically 4K games. I guess I've definitely played Destiny over 3 hours, but the 4K games I've played for long periods of time, but I've also switched the game out a lot. So I'll be playing a mission of Call of Duty for about an hour. Fine. Take the disc out, put in Skyrim, play that for about another hour. Fine. So I can at least speak for that, but I also have not been testing the heat on my PlayStation. It's already on my entertainment station center, and I've never had to unplug it. Well, I did for taking it upstairs, but so I've never noticed it being too hot. So I guess take that with a grain of salt. But
No, it's definitely true. And like I said, that it's truly going to be something to where when I get a 4K TV, I'm going to really be testing it out. I plan to get the 4K TV within a year, so my warranty will be fine. Yeah. Anything that happens to it will be totally covered. The DS4 Slims are nice. I like the new controllers. You noted that the buttons are a little bit more charcoal rather than black.
Yeah, and they just
and it's nice.
They pop out a little more, kind of like the original PlayStation colors.
It is, and even the thumbsticks are more gray.
Yeah, those are, and then
they are black.
And then of course it has the light bar on the touchpad, which is not necessary.
It's nice because I would constantly forget about my light bar.
Yeah, but I honestly, even with the light bar on the touchpad, I wouldn't say I look at it anymore when they want me to look at it, if that makes sense. So when it is a game where it changes colors depending on your health and stuff like that.
Like in Destiny, when you go into a dark tunnel and your light turns on, your DS4 turns white.
Never once looked at that when they wanted me to look at it, but always look at it in between games when I'm waiting for loading, and I just look at my controller and I'm like, ooh, that looks cool, and I press the touch pad in and out a little bit because it gets a little brighter because it gets closer to it, and that's the only time I mess with it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a nice little addition. You know, it feels like it feels like the build is, I don't know why, but it feels like the build is like more correct. Like I had a launch controller, and
wow, it lasted that long. I've probably gone through like 3.
Yeah. So, well, no. Well, here's the thing: is I had a launch controller. It ended up eventually not working. And then I got a different one.
Okay.
But it was also still a launch controller because it was used.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but it's 50-50. I also felt like, I don't know if it's just in, I heard that sometimes it happens to other people playing Overwatch, but there's like dead stick zones. But I don't know if that was just my controller or what, but I've heard that from other Overwatch players that sometimes when you're playing, like, it feels like you're supposed to be speed walking, but instead, like, your character's walking slow. So I don't know if that was me or if that's the game.
I will point out that it doesn't really work with Overwatch since there's no sprint button, but with Corey, who you our cousin who you sold the PS4 to, he ended up buying a new controller that day as well because
really?
he said he couldn't sprint with
Oh, really?
with
So see, it was probably the
Destiny. So
controller.
it could have been.
Yeah.
But then again, there's no sprinting in Overwatch, so
Yeah.
I mean, it can go.
That's
it could go either
that's
way.
weird. Yeah. So, but other than that, I'm a believer. I want to see more. You're right. It is a developer's thing. Let's hope that more developers continue to do this. You have a couple stats, I believe. I'd like to dive into some of those. I heard like over in the UK it sold pretty well. It seems like in America it sold pretty well. The only thing is Sony definitely hasn't released really much domestic numbers.
No, they had no domestic numbers yet, but again, you can take this with a grain of salt. But the GameStop I bought it from, they had a really successful midnight release for it. They were told that they were given the option on if they wanted to do a midnight release, and they said sure, why not? And they ended up selling, I think, with the one that I bought, which again was faulty. They sold 15 on one night. In one night. So I think that's, pretty good for one GameStop selling 15 consoles the night of. So I think it's doing well. A lot of people seem to be happy with it, but the only hard numbers we have gotten so far are going to be in Japan. So in Japan, it's actually selling really well. It says right here that so the total number of sales that they've gotten in, I think it was November, have been like around 93,000. And I think first 4 days on sale. 1 second, so light of the light. Okay, so all right. Let me start this over. So in Japan, the first 4 days on sale, it managed to sell about 65,000 units. And from the beginning of November, it was a total about 93,000. So it only sold about 30,000 PS4s in November before the Pro released. And then the Pro released, and they sold about 65,000 units, which is really good. But it was really eclipsed by the fact that the Famicom Mini, which is the NES Mini, which
we'll get into in a second.
Yes, which we will be talking about that. Or you and Joel will be talking some more about that, right?
Yeah.
And then so that one sold about 262,000 units. So it kind of goes to show where Japan is really putting their money into.
Yeah.
But being probably a great marketplace for PlayStation, not Xbox by any means.
Yeah.
I would say those are really good numbers.
I mean, even almost Nintendo, like 3DS sales, things like that, almost even managed to equalize Xbox sales,
easily.
I mean, a couple of years ago, 3DS was like the biggest thing in Japan, really being sold all the time. So, but and I also heard that around 40,000 units were sold in UK around launch week of the Pro. So that's pretty cool too. Combining those numbers, you almost have 100,000 units, a little bit more, and that's not without looking at the domestic numbers of USA. And I had to point out that Target had a sale. And what it was their little shopping cart app.
Oh, Cartwheel
app, and it had a 20% off bonus coupon whenever you bought any PS4. Due to that, every single PS4 Pro was sold out in Colorado. There was no PS4 in a Target in Colorado at the time of the sale. So you have to count that's being sold out there too. And they probably got 6 or something like that. And you start thinking every town with a GameStop, every town with a Target, all those numbers. I mean, they have to be doing pretty good, and that's just Colorado.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll actually start to outdo Xbox. I actually did read
the past 4 months.
Yep, past 4 months, Xbox One outsold the PS4, so I think this is going to be the month. where we are finally going to take that back.
Yeah.
Which was going to be inevitable anyways. And even with the Xbox doing as well as they're doing, they'll never catch up to PlayStation.
It is. I mean, there has to be a year without PlayStation being sold almost for them to fully come back and catch up those numbers.
Yeah, even with the sales of the 1S, which is probably the only reason why it spiked to beating us these 4 months.
And then on top of that, you had the Slim leak at first, which made people obviously not want to go out and buy one right away because the Slim leak was pretty positive. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, you knew that it was coming out. There's no way that this wasn't coming out.
That's true.
I mean, granted, we had that Twitch player supposedly have that fake Switch, that Nintendo Switch this week.
I read about that.
So I mean, and that looked fucking real. I mean, that looked super real. So I mean, there was always that, but at the time we didn't know that someone was going to come out with a completely real looking Switch. At the time we saw that Slim and we saw the controller. I think the controller is really what sold the leak, because I mean it's one thing someone could make a box of a console, and make it look real nice. But I mean a whole redesigned controller, it's like that's when it's got deep. A lot of people really believed it. They believed it so much, I think it actually pushed PlayStation to announce it when they did. Honestly, I think they were like, well, fuck, I'm sure PlayStation wanted to go out there and be like, PS4 Slim is out right now. I can totally see PlayStation actually wanting to do that more so. So
that makes sense.
So there's that, but PS4 Pro, dope as fuck. I would definitely agree on buying it, especially if you don't have a PS4 at all. There's no reason you don't want to get this console.
Just the terabyte of memory alone, even if you don't care about how nice your game runs or anything like that, just that terabyte is just kind of like, it's easy, extra memory without having to change your hard drive, which you can still if you wanted to. But that alone, I would say, if you have a 1080p TV, you'd want to do it. And if you have a 4K TV, speaking as someone who does, I would say definitely pick this up. I mean, if you have the PS4, I can see to where you're trying to draw that line. It's $400. You've had your PS4 for 3 years. That's when you start to get on the verge if you're saying, do I want to spend money again? A lot of people with Xboxes chose to do that, but I mean, Xbox, once again, dumpster fire in my opinion. Pretty bad. But like I said, so that's our opinions. Go out there and buy it. If you have a PS4 unupgraded, go out there and buy it for sure. There's a bunch of games coming out that will be continuing to support it. Like I said, not all games, but also if you want to go back to some of your favorites, which in my personal list, Infamous Second Son, fantastic game. Easy platinum too. Not the easiest platinum, not My Name is Mayo platinum, but granted, it's very easy to get. Things like Knack, actually the fake CEO Sony account was just like, congratulations on your new PS4. You can go play Knack in 4K, which is pretty funny because it's true. We don't really care about some of those games. It's nice. I really like Killzone Shadows Fall. That was a game that I personally really liked, and it really showed me the power of PS4 especially on launch. I mean, that was a fantastic launch title. Maybe one of the better launch titles that I've seen in recent times, especially it being first party. But let's look forward to it. Let's hope that it keeps hitting that VR market too. I really wanted to hit the VR market. I almost hit that it hits. I almost hope that it hits the VR market almost more so than it does. Like if ever most VR games are now coming out with 4K support, like that's going to be really, really nice. Because it's true. We've talked about it on the PSVR You're So Dope episode, to where you can tell the screen is a little bit, pixelated, and the resolution
definitely the resolution's not too high. So bring up that resolution, bring up my games in 4K, and it's fine. I really don't need a 4K Blu-ray player, and if I do, Black Friday, $60-$70 4K Blu-ray players right now.
If you want to get one without HDR, some of the nice 4K Blu-ray players that have HDR, you're actually looking at like $250, $300. There's a Philips one at Target. It's the only one we sell that supports HDR. Make sure you look into that if you have an HDR supported TV. If you're gonna get one of those, because if not, then you can get one for relatively cheap. That'll probably play those 4K movies, but why settle when you can kind of get the the HDR.
Yeah,
unless you don't
absolutely.
have one, and unless you already have a 4K TV without HDR, in which case I'm sorry.
Yeah, and also watch out for these 4K bundles, because some of these 4K bundles that you're seeing out there, they do not include HDR
Yep.
in the TV.
Yep.
I mean, granted, 4K gaming, yes, that is a next level thing. But if you're gonna go all out, go all out.
Yeah.
Don't get a TV that's
Yeah.
already like makes you backtrack a little bit. Like,
yeah, you can't. It's hard to explain because you can't look up an HDR video on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's the only way to see
You
it
have
is
to see
in
it.
person. Either go to a Best Buy and look at it. But yeah, speaking just from the Uncharted experience alone, 4K is a thing, and I feel like it's going to be big. So yeah, you might as well go all out if you're going to be spending good money on a 4K display.
Yep, absolutely. Now we're going to get over to some NES Classic with Hoel. Before we go, Steven, Thanksgiving's coming up. What the fuck are you thankful for?
Let's see.
You got to be thankful for something.
I'm thankful for some
I know
pumpkin
you're
pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin
Fuck yeah.
pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Battlefield.
Pumpkin pie and Battlefield.
Yeah.
Fucking
That's all you
Battle
need in life.
Pie.
Battle pie.
Pumpkin Field 1.
Pie.
Pie. Heroes never pie.
Go download Overwatch.
It's free this weekend. You're probably listening to this actually, and it's probably not free anymore. But hey,
It was
hopefully you
free.
got into it.
Hopefully.
Go play Overwatch, damn it.
And eat pies.
What's up, gang?
Hey everybody, what's up? This is part 2 of the same podcast, so it's really just the same part. But hey, what up, parts?
Yeah, parts.
Yeah, speaking of parts, you probably couldn't get a part, as we were saying earlier in the cast, NES Classic. You probably can't find it anywhere. It's a part of your console library that you wish you want, and it's not there. You're looking for it, and it ain't there. Satan doesn't have it, Jesus doesn't have it, but we have it, don't we?
Yeah, luckily.
Luckily.
We got one.
Luckily. It was so hard to get. No controller, no cord extension, nothing. We got bare bones. It was hard. I almost had to sacrifice my penis for it.
Oh,
I mean,
thank
yeah.
goodness you didn't, though, right?
I had to turn away so many people because I was the last person in line at Walmart. You know how sad that was for me? I must have turned away 25 people.
Oh.
And it was literally ranging from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
That would have been my favorite part.
It was just like a range of people. I mean, it was the biggest range of people that I've ever seen, like, try to buy something. I mean, we're talking like, the dad that looks like maybe he's a single parent, to the two cholos that look like they were gonna fucking stab me since I told them no. Let's get really into that because there was these homies that came in do-rag and everything. I'm not trying to discredit these people and say that they're thugs, but I mean,
But they probably were.
you can only get so much away from stereotype when you fit it.
Were they wearing Cortezes?
I don't know what that is. What
The
is that?
Nike Cortezes?
Oh, I was so scared of them stabbing me, I wasn't really looking at their feet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you should have this homie had face tattoos. That's next level. And he looked at me and he was like,
If
"Are
he
you
had
kidding
a
me?"
Nintendo face tattoo, would you have let him take the spot in line?
I would have told him to kill somebody in front of me.
and then he could have your spot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, no. He could have their spot. I mean, I would
Oh.
move up, so I mean, technically he would be getting my spot because I turned from 6th, and he would be 6th, so I guess so.
Okay.
But I mean, I would also let the man cut me.
Like,
I mean,
cut you?
not with a knife.
Cut you
me.
so bad? You gonna wish he didn't cut you so bad?
So terrible. No, seriously, I must have turned away so many people, and like I said, it was ranging from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I mean, it was like 11:54. People are walking up to this counter and just like, "Hey, NES Classic line," and they're like, "Nah, man." They're like, "I called and they said it was released at 12," and the manager was even there. He's just like,
Why
got-
would you
there's-
show up
yeah.
5 minutes before?
They're like, "There's a line, man. There's like nothing we can do." And like, there was a couple people that were like upset as fuck, and the manager was just like, "Try another store. See you later. Have a good night."
Or show up early. Is this your first time waiting for a release? Or
Yeah, I
something?
know.
Like,
Yeah,
come on.
No, and that was the thing. And another thing is maybe just people didn't think that this was gonna happen. I mean, obviously, most of these people that were coming up to me were parents, were people that look like they aren't like watching IGN, watching things like we are. So you have that type of weird thing in there. I mean, I'm sure people know too that Nintendo constantly low supplies most of their hardware. I mean, even we were talking about earlier, me and Steven, about how they were even have low quantities of Pokemon, the last Pokemon game, and people are trying to come in, and it was just like, oh, this Pokemon game, Sun and Moon. That's what I said. I said last one. Yeah.
Why? I don't get why they would do that though.
It creates a scarce, and it creates. You know what you want, Joel? You want things that people have that you don't have, and that's the way America is and humanity is. When humans want something that they don't have it, and they see other people around them, it makes them want it more, and that's exactly what Nintendo feeds on.
On a marketing standpoint, I guess that kind of makes sense. But wouldn't you want to make an abundance of that product so you have plenty of supply? Because obviously you know it's going to sell. People were so excited about it. IGN and all these other forms of media were making videos and discussing it. And I mean, you knew the popularity of it. You knew the popularity of the original console. So for all these people who grew up playing the NES original, you know, they're in their 30s, 40s, or even, you know, our age, mid 20s, are excited to play these games. Why wouldn't they think a lot of these people are obviously still alive, and whether they're into gaming or not, they're going to be all about that, what's the word I'm looking for that nostalgic aspect to it. Like, yes, it's $60. I'm going to go buy one of these. Why not make a million extra products and run it longer so you know that you have enough for all these people? When you have lines and lines of 12 people, why not make enough to where the line can be 100 people, and 100 of those people are going to get this device and get that console?
Now that's great. That's true. And you would think that a consumer, yes, would hit on every single one of those. They would have known popularity. They would have known how much people, what the supply would be, what the demand would be. Now, does this point to a cold hard fact that Nintendo as a company might be broken? You know, they've been broken by so many flawed sales the past couple of years. I mean, granted, the Wii took off, but even with the Wii's popularity, and I mean, that is easily the highest sold console by Nintendo, and that says something. But they were still always at the last race at the end of the day. True gamers didn't want to play Wii's eventually, and at the very end of the day, if you were still gaming, you weren't playing the Wii. Now, the GameCube didn't sell as many units as they wanted to. The Wii U was the biggest failure of Nintendo's life. I mean, that was terrible.
Completely undersold.
I mean, it was so bad, it's disgusting. The shortest lifespan also of any console that they've ever had, too. So, I mean, maybe this points to Nintendo thinking that they do know the market, but them actually saying, okay, well, you know what? Maybe we just don't know the market. Maybe we do think that all this stuff is going to sell always, and then it never does. So they're like, let's just limit the fucking supply of this finally.
But this isn't a new console.
It isn't, but at the same time, it's still new hardware.
But it's still games that you know. It's not a whole bunch of new run of new games that you've never heard of. This isn't a console that's completely new. It doesn't have a new look besides it being super small and extremely light. This is a console that everyone's familiar with. And these are 30 games that the grand majority of people are extremely familiar with. You know, like your big titles that are on there to your smaller titles that are on there. You still know these games whether you played them or not. This should have been Nintendo saying, we sold a lot of Nintendo Entertainment Systems throughout the years. It's one of our most popular consoles. Let's run the shit out of them. Because they're going to sell. And that's what pissed me off is you see all these people out there going to buy this console, and like you said, turning them away because there's only 12 in stock. When you called GameStop and they told you that they only had so many, and they only had like 10, or, you know, Target's only getting 12 of them and 2 extra controllers, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I believe that is extreme poor planning on Nintendo's part, and them not having enough confidence in their product, which I don't understand why they're lacking that confidence. Because when I heard that this NES Classic Mini was being released for only $60, $60.
Yeah, I mean, if someone told you right now that they're going to come out with a Game Boy Classic loaded with 60 games in it, you know that's gonna sell.
I'd pay $60 for that.
There's no way that it wouldn't sell. I mean, give me a super bright backlit screen to where I can play it at night, and like the Game Boys that I couldn't do back in the day. I mean, we all remember having a Game Boy and having that little fucking plug-in light at night in your car, and it was still terrible. It was the hardest thing ever to play. And
but you still did
exactly.
it.
You dug it, and let's see those features in a Game Boy. There's no way that doesn't sell. I completely understand that point.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like you also have to think, hey, guys, let's go over to my house. I got Battlefield 1. I got Rise of Tomb Raider. I got Infinite Warfare. Final Fantasy 15's coming out next week. You know, all these titles, PS4 Pro's coming out. Let's play Super Mario. You know, like that's a hard thing to sell. Like you are launching in the middle of the biggest games of the year. I mean, everybody is gonna play these games. Everybody wants Battlefield 1. I mean, God, everybody's dicks were so hard over Battlefield 1.
Okay, so that situation you just explained, we're living it now, and they're still sold out.
Yeah, they are still sold out. Absolutely.
All these other games came out. You know, you had what was it? Titanfall 2 just came out, and you had Battlefield 1, the PlayStation Pro, PlayStation VR. All this stuff came out, and yet you cannot find a classic anywhere.
Yeah, it is true. We saw that video of Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Right.
and it's them trying to go into the toy store trying to find a NES Classic, and he's like, they're all gone.
Yeah.
It's like, and that was perfectly illustrated the market of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I completely disagree with Nintendo's marketing ploy with this, because this didn't work out for them. I mean, it worked out for them because everything sold out, but what are they going to do for Wave 2?
Well,
are they going to release
in
a vast amount, or are they going to screw everyone and only put 10 to stores again?
Well, it's weird because, like, even right now, Walmart's releasing some every single day at 3:00, and it's so weird. Like, that is something that I totally dislike about this launch, is that it's very, like, I don't understand it at all.
It's very wishy-washy.
There's no way that you're just sending Walmart's, like, 50 consoles a day or something like that. Like, there's no way. Like, you're doing this on purpose. Like,
well, and I think those are only online orders. Well, I don't think they're for store pickups.
But no, it's not for store pickups. You're right, and it is only for online orders. But for them to still be selling every single day at 3:00, and then them selling out within 2 minutes, that's planned. There's no way that that's not planned. It's not like a warehouse is literally getting 25 a day. Like, there's no way. Nintendo could be sending them 2,000 and them try to sell out in a day rather than this 3:00 every day bullshit. That's planned.
It could be a market test.
I mean, it is a market test, but at the same time, your market's tested. You know everybody wants it. You already try to pull this scare shit. Which to me, I fully believe everything that we're experiencing is planned to the T. I don't think that there's no way that Nintendo didn't plan for this, to be honest. Like, granted, like I was saying, I think they might be broken. They might be unconfident in what they can and can't sell. I still think this was completely planned.
Inflation aside, I think the market was tested 30 years ago when the first original NES came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is weird, though, too, because, I mean, you have things that sell that are retro, and then, like, just because of the NES Classic coming out, Sega Mega Drives probably went up in market like a lot. Right. I mean, I haven't seen the numbers. I can't guarantee that. But there's no way that the Mega Drive didn't thrive off of NES Classic's release. And Mega Drives have been out for fucking 5 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's very, very weird thing.
I think Nintendo should have understood that nostalgia sells.
Yeah. I mean, it is true. They should have understood that. And like I said, I still think at some point that all of this is completely planned. I have no doubt in my mind. Like how I was telling Steven, when 3DSs came out, they had a attachment joystick where you would put on the whole bottom of your 3DS. Yeah. And it gave you a left joystick. I've still never seen one of those in person. I think it's a fucking myth. I tried to get one for Kid Icarus. I loved Kid Icarus. On my 3DS. It was probably one of the funnest games. It was very hard and hand crampy because it was like a stylus game, but it was still maybe one of my favorite games played on that console, period. That and Resident Evil Revelations, fantastic titles. but I tried to pre-order one. They didn't have it, just like Pokemon Go bracelets, which granted is Niantic, but it's still related to it. And can you find a Pokemon Go bracelet? No. Is anybody playing Pokemon Go, though? I don't think so. Like, I see, granted, a couple people on my line that still, like stuff and say that they're getting to higher levels, sometimes, but I mean, it's nothing like it was. And you should be able to buy those bracelets by the fucking dozen. I should be able to walk into a Walmart and buy 12 bracelets right now if I wanted to, and give them all to everybody as like a little fucking thank you gift. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't have a fucking Pokemon Plus bracelet.
Should be a $5 stocking stuffer.
Exactly. So I think Nintendo's just at that moment to where they're just trying to play it safe. They know that they sell, and who knows if Black Friday comes out, and what if it's the most stock thing everywhere? I mean, that'll even help drive the market, because now everybody's shopping. Now everybody's out in stores trying to buy things, period. Your grandma wants a coffee maker. Your little sister wants fucking this. Your mom wants this. Your dad wants this. Well, now you're in the store, and now it's right there. Now it's right there, and you can just buy it. Like, I think it's a weird tactic. We won't see how it comes out for a while, and it'll be interesting to see how the market goes once they're available everywhere. Once they're available everywhere, is anybody going to want one? Like, yeah, it'll be weird.
I think it'll still be a big driver just because of the price point on it. It's $60.
Yeah.
And if I were to walk into a Walmart or a Target or whatever and see that they had a pallet full of these classics sitting in the middle of the aisle, I would definitely find a way to buy it. Whether I had the money available or if I had to, not buy a few groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was there, I would buy it. Whether it be in a week, in a month, in 6 months, in a year. If it was available, if I had the money, or if I didn't, I would find a way.
But here's a good question now. If they would have been by the pallet, everybody's getting them everywhere, would we have heard online about, oh, go get the NES. You can't find it anywhere. Get your hands on it. Get your hands on it right now. You need this. Get your hands on it. It's awesome. It's so cool. It has all these games in it. Everybody's loving it. It fucking rocks. There isn't enough, but get one when you can. And if you fucking want to buy it one for $200, then do it because it's fucking worth it. Or would we have heard of, hey, NES Classics out. It's pretty cool. Controller length is fucking terrible. Controller length is so bad, it's almost so hard. Maybe we get buy the fucking pallet, but we don't get controllers, or something like that. Or maybe we hear all of these like so things about it, but now since it's scarce, it's like, oh fuck, like it's hard to find, it's rare, like oh it makes me want it so bad, to where if it's everywhere, it's like meh, like I can get one next week. Oh, I can get one in 3 weeks. Or you know what? Hey, my niece wants one. I'll save it for when I get one for my niece. It's weird because that scarcity really does drive up sale. It truly does.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I think, again, nostalgia sells. And I think if they would have had pallets worth of these things, say each store gets 300 units. I guarantee you people
50. Even if we're talking about 50,
people would be buying 2 at a time.
Yeah.
If stores got 50 plus,
you probably wouldn't have been able to though.
Well, I mean, sure, you would have had to get a ticket or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regardless, you know what I mean. Like if people would have known there was an abundance of these, people would be trying to buy multiples. Granted, a lot of these people would probably buy one for themselves and tend to try to sell on eBay for however much. But if you had stores getting even 50 plus units, I don't think that you would be able to sell them on eBay for $300 because there were so many of them.
It's true. And also at this fact that I'll agree with you too is that even if every store had 20, it still creates enough scarce, I think, to where it's still hard to find, but enough people have them and people aren't complaining. Because, I mean, you have to admit, at least on my feed and stuff, I mean, people are really fucking complaining about how they fucking hated Nintendo for doing this. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people understand that it was them choosing to do this. I mean, even people in the UK and Australia, all these other places, Europe, all of them had pre-orders. Everybody except America had pre-orders, mm-hmm. which is crazy, which means it points to you saying, like, I think they understood that America was their biggest market because, I mean, I see posts in, in UK and like things like Canada and stuff, they don't have GameStop, they have Game. And games across, countries, they have them in stock. You can walk into a GameStop in Europe and they have 2 on the shelf. You know what I mean? Which is weird. And I think that really shows you like how much in America they knew that this thing would sell. But like you were saying with the Famicom in Japan, which is the exclusive to those countries, there's different games and things like that, but it sold massively. But have we not heard the sales of NES Classic in America? Because maybe they didn't even give the country that many to even make that number.
They should have understood.
You know what
this
I mean?
is such a big consumer market for games.
But like I said, and I think they just know that like I was listening to a podcast the other day, kind of funny. Tim Getty, he's a great guy. We love him. Total big reason why we do all this stuff. He was talking about how in freshman year, after couple months after school, he knew that nobody knew him or his friends. They fucking set up a table in the lunchroom, and they printed a bunch of pictures of themselves out, put a price for autographs on the table. A line started forming. No one who knew who they were. They started selling autographs of themselves, and a line started to form. That is why Nintendo did this, because they know how America is. You see a line, you want to get it. Other people are having something, you want to have it, which I think is a quality that a lot of other countries don't have. You know what I mean? And that's funny to say. That's an American thing right there. You know what I mean? They had to be stopped by their principal, because the principal knew that they were just selling pictures of themselves and signing them. Like, that is a grand hustle of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so let's get down to some things about the NES. The size. What do you think of the size? It's so small. It fits in your hand. It's light as fuck.
I love it.
I wanted you to throw it to your wife, just as like in a like.
You
I
told
was
me to
like
toss it.
throw it. I was like throw it to her, and you're like, nah, I'm not gonna throw it. I was like, should have thrown it, like, because then you catch it and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
this is so light.
It's extremely light.
It feels hollow.
It does feel hollow. I'm thinking they probably could have made a smaller one with how light it is. I mean, I'm sure they couldn't have. That's probably as small as it could go. But
that's as small as they can go with it not being weird.
Right. Yeah.
You get smaller than that, it's weird. It's a Fire Stick. It's a Nintendo NES stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I mean, the length of it is the same length as the controller.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's super cool. It is really small, and I don't care that the controller cord is short.
You don't care until you're in my position at my house, to where my NES is dangling. Whenever I play my NES Classic, it's dangling. It's dangling from the power cord and the HDMI cord. It's facing down and it's dangling off, because I can't do it. I can't put my fucking face that close. Like, I can, but at what convenience am I sacrificing myself because of this? You know?
Okay, so that makes sense. I mean, depending on how your entertainment system is set up.
How everything's set up, and you got it on the floor. You're sitting at crisscross applesauce, and that's a good time. Old school playing NES. That's how you should play
exactly.
NES. And I understand why they did that. You know what I mean? Because it's a nostalgic feel. You had short cords back in the day. You dealt with cords. That's just kind of how things were, and that's part of feeling like you're playing a NES.
I don't remember sitting on a couch playing Nintendo or Super Nintendo when I was a kid. When me and my cousins growing up playing these games, we were always on the floor.
And your console was on the floor.
Exactly.
Your console was in front of you. You had all your control, especially when you get into 64. Granted, the controller cords were much longer, but still, nevertheless, you had extra cord length because you were sitting on the floor playing with your friends. So there's that, and I could totally see that. That's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Another thing is that it's loaded with 30 of your favorite fucking games. It's fantastic. You get games, Final Fantasy, Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, just regular Mario Bros. You get Castlevania 1, 2, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Tecmo Bowl, Link, Adventures of Link 2. I mean, you get all of this stuff, and it's so good. You just feel so fulfilled. I played the first couple, like, I want to say 15 minutes of Zelda, and my God, like, yes, it's just what I want. Like, that's totally what I want. Like, I walked into the fucking cave, and there was that old man with the torches, and he was just like, it's too dangerous to go alone. Here, take this. And I was just like, this is my childhood. This is what I wanted. This is why I did stand in line. This is what sells it. Like, I do want to see that screen, because it's such a screen that you see in a meme now these days, you know, and it's just an iconic moment in gaming, and you're able to live that again without going out trying to find an old one. You have AV cables, or it sets up coaxial, terrible. The CRT filter in the device, the NES Classic Edition, makes it look like you're on a tube television, and boy, does it really change. I mean, I didn't think it would look as different, and then I put that CRT filter on, and I was blown away. It was like, wow, this is what it looked like back in the day. Like, we truly have gotten used to 1080p.
See, and
You know
that's
what
why
I mean?
they know that nostalgia sells.
Yeah.
They have that option in there to make it look like you're playing on an old tube television.
Yeah, that's completely
Come
true.
on,
And like how Steven
Nintendo.
was saying earlier, the Mega Man collection did that, which is a totally cool thing.
Yeah.
Another thing was the Halo games. The Halo games were actually one of the first games to actually start doing that, to where you can press a button and then it was like you're playing Halo on an old Xbox. Like, this is what the level looked like, and then just with the switch of a button, everything's back to remastered, and it's so cool. Granted, I don't think a lot of people play in the old mode. But that's something that you show people.
Sure.
Just like the VR, that's something that you show you, like, okay, well, now put it on CRT, and they're like, whoa, this is totally what it looked
It really
like. And
takes
you're
you back.
Yeah, you're like, wow, it's completely true. Now, out of some of those games, what are your favorites?
Castlevania for sure.
Castlevania. Yeah, love it.
There was just so many memories growing up playing that with my cousins, or there was a family friend that we used to go to all the time, and family friend's house we used to go to, and her son was like 10 years older than me, but he would always invite me into his bedroom to go help or to go play.
You want to play? Oh.
Gross.
Gross. That is weird.
That is disgusting.
It's kind of where it seemed like it was leading to, though.
Definitely not.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Anyway, so I would go and
Kids do fuck that
hang
shit.
out with him. I would go and hang out with him and play these games, and he would always put on like a Dig Dug or Super Mario or whatever, one of those for me, because I was younger, and he thought this is more up your alley. And one day we went over there and he was playing something new, and it was this just really dark sounding music, for my age. It doesn't sound so dark now, really, I guess.
Yeah.
But with these like ghouls coming at you and bats coming down and the first bat boss fight and stuff like that.
You played it and you knew that it wasn't for kids in a way.
Right, and I loved the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this isn't a bunch of mushrooms and plumbers and tubes. Like, this is a legitimate game, and I remember it making me so excited to play because I felt like I was doing something bad. Growing up with my parents and my family, we were extremely Catholic, so stuff like that just wasn't cool.
Absolutely.
I wasn't allowed
Absolutely.
to do it. So when I got to sit down and play Castlevania with him, or even just sit there and watch him play through it, I felt like I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do, and it gave me that drive and that almost like a
the
adrenaline
tip of
rush.
adulthood, almost, even too. Like maybe this is kind of what it's like to be an adult. Like,
Yeah.
you're like this is the subject matter that I'm going to be dealing with, and it's such a cool thing. You're a big horror guy. We all know that. You love horror movies and things like that. So completely see how Castlevania does that.
Yeah, so it was super cool. And then from going to Super Mario, where you get your flower thing and you get your fire and you can throw that. You know.
Flower
and
power.
then flower power, and then on Castlevania you can get a boomerang, or you can
axe.
throw an axe,
things
and
like that,
swords
yeah.
and shit like that. It's like
You're fighting vampire bats, In
Exactly.
Symphony of the Night, you fight yourself, a mirror version of yourself. And it is, the subject matter is just so different compared to everything else at that time.
Yeah.
And it truly is amazing because, a lot of people, especially the casual gaming players, Castlevania isn't something that's brought up a lot anymore because of how Castlevania has gone in the years. Original creator leaving. Now he's going to do Bloodstained, which I cannot wait for. Bloodstained will be the next fucking great Metroidvania type of game there is. And it's weird because you don't think about it a lot. I turn on my NES and I'm expecting someone to go to Super Mario 3, Super Mario, maybe Mega Man, Metroid, things like that. It's surprising how many people go to Castlevania first.
it's the first one I went to today.
It's the first one you went to. It's the first one my brother went to. It's the first one Andy went to. It's like it's very surprising. It's a game that really was so different than all the other games that you're like, no, this is what I want to play because I know all these other experiences. Let me get back to this because even really with games these days, like Bloodborne is exactly what 3D Castlevania should be. Bloodborne is a perfect example of what Castlevania needs to be if it's to ever try to venture back into that, because it tried to do that for a while, and I think it was pretty unsuccessful, you know. But I mean, Bloodborne, I mean, it's hard. It doesn't really tell you things to do. You're kind of, you know, it's perfect. But yeah, and it's nice to see that because of Castlevania, we have all of these games like that are these dark, gritty games, and you couldn't have had that without having Castlevania. You know, so I love that for that reason. I'm gonna say one of my favorites on the console has to be Super Mario 3. That was the first game I played. I already have like a 50-minute save file ready to go. I'm just about to be in World 3. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think you could beat that game in about 3.5 hours. You could probably beat it in 2 hours if you run through every level, maybe even faster.
I mean, it might be shorter than that. I think there's like a world record holder that's like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes sense.
If you just run straight through it, I mean, you can finish it really fast.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's weird. I play a game now, and you know, it's like, okay, do I want to play a online match to where it'll take about 10 to 15 minutes of my time, or do I want to play a mission that will take anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes? When I turn on the NES, I can be like, you know what? I got fucking 10 minutes. I can maybe jam out 5 levels. You know what I mean? It's such a different thing, and that's something that I really noticed playing the NES is, man, I mean,
it's a faster sense
of
accomplishment.
It's incredibly short. The levels are so short. It's a very satisfying quickly factor. You know, NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, like, it's giving it to you quick, you're happy, you're satisfied. And it's weird because, yeah, like, I'm so not used to that experience anymore. You know,
right.
I mean, even short games that I feel like short are never that short, you know. It's a very, very cool thing. And like I said, it really does bring you back to a point to where, like, it makes you think of video gaming, which is something that's cool because you have groundbreaking games, Battlefield, Rise of Tomb Raider, you know, all of these things, Journey, you know, games that have came out that just blow minds off people. And then when you get back to where it all started, you start thinking of video gaming as a whole. You start thinking like, wow, this is where it came from. These are where these ideas came from. And, you know, like, you just appreciate things so much, you know, like, there's no way that a game could come out and I can control it with 2 buttons, you know, and a D-pad and feel as satisfied as I feel playing these older games. You know, I mean, I'm sure there is, but you know that it's only because of these old games why you're feeling that. You know,
you have an appreciation for it.
Exactly. You get into that NES Classic. It has a fantastic menu song, you know, little tune in the background that totally brings you back right away. And then it has really cool, like, little, like, just videos playing when you don't play the console. It's just playing a bunch of random stuff. I don't know who recorded these gameplay videos of, like, when you go to a game and you let it sit and you don't start and it shows who's playing. Whoever played these games are terrible. I mean, it's like they've never played a video game before. That's something that I thought was weird. You guys noticed a glitch playing Mario today also.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a trampoline there. There was no trampoline, and you kind of froze into the game. It was something that I noticed, too, that I don't know if it's exactly a glitch, but when I play Mario Brothers 3, you can see the level, like, loading as you're going.
Oh,
like,
I didn't notice
and it's
that.
like it appears, like let's say that there's about to be bricks. You know, you'll see, like, a brick pattern, like, kind of flashing at the end, until it actually gets to it, and then, like, it'll come out, and then, like, you know, like, if it's blue for a while, it'll stay blue, and then, like, you'll see a brick, and even if the brick isn't, like, coming in exactly when you start to see the brick, you know the brick's coming. It's a very weird thing, and it doesn't happen with all the games, but I notice that it almost always happens whenever I play Super Mario Brothers 3. I don't know if that's a software type of thing. I don't know what it is. But yeah, that is definitely something that I noticed. It hasn't froze, though. I mean, like I said, other than when you guys got stuck. I don't know if that's exactly the console freezing, though. That seemed like it was more like a texture type of thing.
Right, yeah, because when Steven was playing, he tried to jump on the trampoline, and the trampoline was gone. The bricks that it was standing on were there, but he was standing basically in midair, and he couldn't even jump off. He couldn't walk in either direction off of the trampoline. You
tried to restart, go back in. It just went back to the same exact thing because it's suspend points. Now let's talk about suspend points. Suspend points are great.
Absolutely.
You are able to save at any moment. Let's say that you're on the last boss fight of Metroid. You can't beat it. you hit that that restart button on the front of your console, and it'll create a suspend point in that level right before that boss fight. You don't have to replay the level. You don't have to do nothing with that. You don't have to put in passwords, because password was a big thing back then, which also makes you think of like the way games were played. Some games have a save file in it, but other games don't, and it's a very weird thing. Like, Legend of Zelda, especially when you get into like Super Nintendo. I mean, Legend of Zelda, that's a deep game, and it has its own save files. But then you have games like Aladdin, and those are all password games. It's a very weird thing. You're like, maybe it's because Aladdin graphically is better. I mean, I think we could agree on that, right? Than like Link Between Worlds, right? I mean, they're pumping out a lot of colors, things like that. So maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, it's very weird. And also, I think it was the price of chips back in the day too. It depended on what type of chip the developer wanted to buy for that cartridge. Just like when you get into 64, you either have a save card, but then you have games like Resident Evil and GoldenEye that are heavy. You can feel the cartridge being heavier than other cartridges, and it's because they decide to spend more money on the chip inside. Which gets us closer to our next topic real quick. We're gonna kind of go past this one pretty quickly. The Switch, though. Going back to cartridges, but now Toys R Us is saying that it's leaked at $250. That is exactly what we want to hear, right? That is exactly what we want.
Yeah, I just hope they're not underselling it, and I hope they that they do certain things for this device to be a great seller.
Yeah, I can see Nintendo kind of like, yeah, you're right. I can see their overhead being a little bit too much, and then them trying to really make that money through the next Mario game, the next Zelda game, all of these things. And I can see Nintendo doing that but at the same time, yeah, it's going to be hard, especially if it doesn't end up selling as much as we want it to. Because then they're going to be just extremely fucked. And then if they're not having a big overhead on this, then what does that say for the spec of the console? If you're looking at a device that costs $200 to make and they're making $50 each one, like, what kind of parts are in this? We're all scared about battery life, obviously. I think that's the most concerning thing for everybody is battery life. We can all agree on that. They say that there's different controller variations, too, that are coming out. We haven't seen all the controllers that will be coming out for the Switch, which is something that I feel like we don't really need. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's something that, I don't know. Let's focus on the things that matter, Nintendo.
Not accessories.
I think
exactly. Accessories
we
should
have
come
the Pro Controller and we have
later.
our Joy-Cons. Believe in both of them. You know that the Pro Controller is going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine with the Pro Controller, and most likely if anybody buys a Switch, they're going to buy a Pro Controller. That's a simple thing, But let's get into you focusing on, okay, well, instead of making another controller, let's have you make maybe even a portable battery that comes with the console at launch, or something like, let's have a bundle that comes with a portable battery if battery life isn't sufficient. I think sufficient battery life is anywhere over 3.5 hours, 4 hours. I think that's sufficient for me. I don't find myself being in a position to where I am playing it for more than that.
Right. Or even a substantial battery that can withstand, when you're trying to link up to a Wi-Fi network, if they're going to have that option, which I would hope they would.
Yeah, exactly.
Or connecting with other Switches with other people that are playing it. That the more things that this device is doing, the more battery it's going to use, obviously. So I hope that they use a hefty, substantial battery that can handle all of that, with still having, at the minimum, a 3.5 hour.
Yeah, if you're talking
life.
about 3-hour battery life not connected to Wi-Fi or another Switch, you're going to have fucking problems. You're just looking at an 1.5-hour battery life connected to Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
And how are you going to play some AAA games that are online? How are you going to play Splatoon, if you're trying to connect to a Wi-Fi? Things like that. It's a very weird circumstantial thing. We're gonna know more in January, which is nice. I can't wait for the January and it's not a Nintendo Direct. It's not a Direct meeting, which I think is fantastic. I hope that they're trying to leave all that behind. With the Switch trailer, it seems like they're trying to leave. It looks like a new Nintendo. Let's kind of push that through. And even getting back to the NES, the top of the box, it's that red background with the controller, and it says classics underneath, hopefully plural, to where they're going to be releasing more, a Super NES Mini, 64 Mini. I mean, let's bring those out. Another thing that is, like how you said, when you get into things like that, Super NES, Nintendo 64, there's no way that they can't believe that it doesn't sell. And,
Right.
and hopefully by this launch, they don't try to make other things scarce. You know what I
Right.
mean? Hopefully with the Super Nintendo, they're like, okay, well, you know what? We pulled the fast one with the NES. We don't have to do that with Super Nintendo. Let's just launch it and believe in it, and everybody else will believe in it. And, you know, maybe even they did that to make these other consoles that are coming out being able to sell like that off the bat. You know what I mean? Let's make it scarce for the first console, and then when Super Nintendo comes out, everybody thinks that's what's going to happen. Everybody is going to want to go get in line, and then once you get in line, you're going to be like, oh, I'm in line. And then you're going to see 10 other people get in line, and then you're going to see 5 more people get in line. And you're going to realize that these are actually being supplied, but that scarce factor is in there to make you want to go out in line, get it when it launches, because you remember NES launch. So maybe that's another thing too, you know.
I
So-
actually, this is slightly somewhat off topic, but still kind of on topic. I believe it was IGN that I saw something. I was scrolling through Facebook, and there's this thing called a Superboy, which is
Those have been out kind of for
have
a
they?
while.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I hadn't seen them before ever, so when I saw that, I was kind of excited. But it's basically just a Game Boy shaped like the old Super Nintendo controller.
And it
Big
plays
full
Super
size,
Nintendo
and it
games,
plays
yeah.
Super Nintendo cartridges.
Yeah, those have been out for a while.
Okay.
That S one that you've seen though, because that is the Superboy S,
Mm-hmm.
and that has like a rechargeable battery pack. The screen's super bright. It's like a super. So it's an upgraded version of it. It's still thick as fuck though. I mean, it is godly thick.
Really?
I mean, it's crazy how thick it is. But at the same time, we are so past me trying to go out and find cartridges for this. We are all so past that. We don't want to go fucking diving in flea markets every weekend trying to find it. And then once you find your game, you're paying fucking $35, $40 for these old relics. Like dude, it's so past that.
And you
now.
don't even know if it'll work properly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm trying to get just Pokemon Snap for my 64 just so my niece and nephew can play it. There's no way I get the game under $20. And to me, it's like, dude, I don't want to do that. I can go buy a VR game for $20. I can go do this stuff. You know, I can buy a game on sale for my PS4 for $20. Like, I don't want to be doing that, you know?
Right.
So hopefully they really corner that market. I mean, even if the Nintendo comes out, because you have to remember, something that Super Nintendos didn't have in America was they actually had a sort of internet connection. 64s did.
64,
64s had an internet connection across seas to where they had like weather and like a news update like in it, like almost what you saw with the Wii, which is so cool. So let's get the Super Nintendo come out and give me a fucking broadband jack in the back of it, even if it's not Wi-Fi. Give me a broadband jack and then let me download more games to it, because I mean it's a digital age, you know. But getting back to the topic of the Switch, you know, I think it's gonna really accomplish a lot of things if they make it digital. If they supposedly micro SD is going to be the memory card for it, which I hope so.
It was super smart if they actually do go through with that.
You can get like a 256 for like around $50 or $60.
Right.
I mean that's shit, dude. You can load a bunch of shit on that. Hopefully, you know. I mean, granted, you know, like you download Elder Scrolls Online, and it's a 60 gigabyte download with all its DLC. So we'll kind of see how that happens as time goes along. I just hope Nintendo just gives us the bad information as soon as possible. I kind of wish that they would have told us a little bit more. I understand that they didn't. But yeah, if it has a short battery life, just tell us, you know, like let us totally accept that first, you know, because if that leaks a month, 4 weeks before launch, dude, it'll tank the sales. They have to come out, be confident in their system, and even tell us the bad news, because anything that leaks out, it'll destroy the sales of the Switch, I believe, no matter what the price point. I mean, if it does all this stuff and then all of a sudden you're saying, oh, you know, they're like 5 hours battery life, but then a report comes out a month before it releases and they're like, oh, but if you're connected to Wi-Fi, you're only looking at about 2 hours, you know, like that's going to really piss people off.
Yeah.
Or if a month later it says, you know, there will be no car chargers. There will be no other, like you have to charge from dock. That will be detrimental and just completely destroy it. So I hope they really are honest with us. Just tell it like it is. We know that it's not going to be advanced. We know it's not
Right.
going to be something better than the PS4 or the fucking Xbox. We know that, and I think
Their market is definitely the handheld thing.
yeah, exactly. And they need to kill the other consoles. There's no
Yeah.
way. Like it's so sad to see me open up my emails and Nintendo send me an email about gift giving, and it's like, buy 3DS and Wii U games. It's like fuck, like you're no, like God, like no.
You're not competing very well with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to kill this. You have to just promote your Switch. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know. Like even do a holiday pre-order. I mean, just think of how beautiful that would be if you got an envelope from your grandmama and inside was full paid Nintendo Switch pre-order. Like, yeah, dude, let's do that. Like sell your pre-order, do things like that. Let's fucking kill this other shit because it's not going anywhere.
But there's not going to be a whole lot of pre-orders when you don't know very much about it. Is the thing. You know what I mean?
I don't know. We live in America. I fully believe that fucking all of you will pre-order anything. I fucking believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, okay.
I can show you a picture of my dick, and I can and it would be a picture of my flaccid dick, and I would sell it as pre-order the world's biggest dick. Half of you would fucking pre-order it, knowing the size of my regular dick. Having a picture, you fuckers will pre-order anything as long as it says pre-order now. I believe that. I think we could all agree on that. You both are speechless.
Because I'm trying to disagree, but I don't know how, I guess.
You can't. You can't. You done pre-ordered that penis. But anyway, let's get into Mario Run real quick. The last topic of the game, $9.99 price point, releases on Apple iOS December 15th. Give us some of the levels. You said 6 worlds.
6 worlds, 24 courses total. And then there's
A couple modes, which is really interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple extra modes, which I wasn't prepared for. So I'm
No,
gonna
it's okay. You said you had a mushroom kingdom type of build to where you had your own kingdom. You decorate it.
You decorate it, and you add things.
Which is a mobile game in itself. Let's not forget all the stupid mobile games on the market where you are just decorating stuff. You have a fish tank. You have a fish tank. You feed your fish, and you try to buy other fishies for your fish tank. Those are games. Those are games that fucking sell, that make money. It's like they're smart by adding stupid gimmicks like that because that's exactly what app gaming is. That is exactly what it is.
So yeah, if you don't know much about the game, which we obviously don't know much either, other than from the description of it.
Yeah, we've seen pictures, description. I mean,
so like Mario's constantly moving forward.
Yep.
And then your action buttons are going to be jump, and then depending on how and where you jump in the game, Mario will react a different way or jump a specific way.
I hope they give you the ability to jump backwards.
I don't think they do, unless you were jumping up into like a wall to wall type thing.
Yeah, see?
That's the only time I think you'll be able to move backwards. From what I understand in the description and watching the short video,
it's just a full run. Yeah,
it's just
that's
a full
what I've
run.
noticed too.
Which might take some getting used to because we grew up, being able to run backwards and using a D-pad. So only having one action.
Yeah.
And then it seems like, I don't know if they got rid of star power, but it's what do they call it? It's like a coin something. So like as you're running and you get this like special oh god, where is it? Yeah, I can't find it now. So like instead of a star power, it looks like you're basically just having coins generated in front of you.
Oh, what is that called? What is that called? They released,
Coin Rush or something like that, I think.
Yeah, they released that in the Super Mario game for 3DS.
Yeah, it's Coin Rush.
Coin Rush, yeah. And yeah, your whole like world becomes coins, and like there's coins all around you. Like that was a feature that was actually introduced in prior Mario games. So that's cool. That's cool. I like the evolution.
They're adding
it,
that.
I mean?
So with 6 worlds and 24 total courses for $10, I think that's very doable. I was actually kind of talking about it with my wife earlier, and she said, yeah, no, thanks, not for me. And I said, well, think about it this way. It's a brand new Super Mario game with new courses from what we understand for only $10.
Yeah, exactly. And
where else are you going to find that? Even when the Switch comes out and they do have a new Super Mario launch game with it, or maybe not a launch game, but hopefully there will be some sort of Super Mario game to come out with it, because it's kind of a rebirth for Nintendo.
And I fully believe that these last 3 worlds will be hard. No doubt about it. These last 3 worlds will be hard as fuck.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
definitely.
It's not going to be something that you just glide through and then the game's over. Like, they're going to make it super difficult for you, and it'll be much more difficult if you only have one command. You know, and I assume, like, boss levels, you'll be just bouncing off the wall behind you. For a boss battle, there has to be a way for you moving both ways on it, you know, constantly jumping over the mini Bowser, you know, things like that, the little Goomba or Koopa or whatever the fuck it is.
Right, which, I mean, there's probably only going to be 6 boss battles since there's only 6 worlds. So I
Yeah.
assume, you know, that maybe they will change that a little bit for the fights. But for 6 worlds, 24 courses, and 2 extra modes for $10, I'm in. I'm sold. You know, I might need a new phone because I don't think I can handle any more downloads.
Yeah, 128 motherfucker.
Yeah.
Dub.
Yeah, I need to update for sure.
I tell people that my shit's 128 and they look at me like I'm retarded. They're like, "What do you do with all that?" And I'm like, "Not worry." That's what I do with all that space. Is I
Download
don't
whatever
worry. Yeah.
I want.
I take pictures of me taking pictures.
Pictureception.
It's just my eye. Like, I go to take a picture of something, and then I just invert the camera, and it's just my face taking a picture.
Nice.
Like, this is what I look like when I take a picture. Also, here's my average size dick. Pre-orders available now. Sold out. America.
Back to the dick
Yeah,
pictures.
seriously.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm super excited. I think Nintendo's finally starting to learn what they need to do to be a successful company. I mean, hopefully let's all cross our fingers.
Except with the classic.
Yeah.
I really believe they fucked up with that, but that's
my
opinion.
but at the same time, they fucked up at a level that I think still helps them. Like, it's not a detrimental fuck up like the Wii U. Like, and in no way is it a fuck up like that. It's almost a fuck up in the sense that you just made people hate you a little bit.
Sure.
You know, you made your consumer upset at you, but that doesn't mean that the consumer still won't buy that shit. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, it's almost like a Walking Dead clause. Everybody's just like, "You're giving me what I want." I'm so upset that this show is conventional and leaves us hanging at moments.
Right.
I don't agree with that, but anyway, so I mean, you had Miyamoto, which is a mobile game that came out earlier, and it was like a me-driven game. It's like a social networking type of thing with your friends. Pokemon Go came out, which isn't exactly Nintendo, but I mean, that made them see the value of the market, you know, and also I think naming Nintendo Go would have been a much better. I mean, even if it wasn't a Pokemon-related thing and Pokemon Go wasn't theirs, you name it Nintendo Go, dude, Switch, fucking 10 times better. Nintendo Go is better than Nintendo Switch. 10 times better.
You know, and I think that
and
would
that
also
fits,
be...
That fits, like, you know, like when iTunes came out, everything was iHome, this, that, and it created, like, a brand
just
almost.
driving that market.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It created a name for products, you know, and if you would have fallen into that, then you have Mario Go, you have Zelda Go, like, you have all these things that you can fit up that works in this universe. But we'll see, you know, you never know. We might just get Mario Switch, and it might still be just as fucking beautiful, you know, so it just depends.
What if they made an augmented Mario game?
I mean,
augmented reality Mario game.
I think that'd be dope. Does the Switch have a camera?
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
I
definitely they definitely didn't show it. But I mean, if that's something that you can put on as like an attachment, I mean that might be cool.
Because I know the 3DS has some sort of augmented.
Yeah, absolutely. With its
the cards and stuff.
Yeah. So what I'd like to see is I'd like to be able to see you pop in a 3DS game in your Switch. In a Switch, I would like to see that. Like if you really have a problem with killing these devices, fucking let me be able to play my 3DS games on my Switch. Then, if you're having such a hard time like leaving that market, like let's just do it. Like, all you have to do is just make a fucking line down the center of your screen, and like the bottom half is touch, and then but at the same time, I don't know if the Switch is touch.
It doesn't.
It didn't seem like it either. So
I mean, if it was a touch, they probably wouldn't have the controller slides in.
Yeah, exactly. And also I can see why they just completely would want to leave that. Like, you know what I mean? I truly believe this holiday season we are really seeing that Nintendo is trying everything to save their company with the mobile gaming, with re-releasing the classic console, which people aren't doing, which they're really, I mean, cuz the Mega Drive, that's made from a different company. That's made from At Games. That's not made from Sega. You know what I mean? And that's RCA cables, and God, terrible. I mean, who wants anything with RCA cables? Throw it away. So, but I really have a lot of hope for Nintendo. So let's hope that they keep striving. And also give me some more games. Give me some weird fucking pot fucking thrower Zelda game to where I just throw pots at chickens. You know, like that is such a mobile game that you can create that just pleases people at a weird level. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's beautiful. I have so much hope for them. I think we'll finally get the Nintendo that we've always wanted to, and as long as we don't get fucking 3-hour battery life max on this, then I think it'll fucking sell like hotcakes at $250. So.
Or even a way to recharge on the run.
Yeah, recharging on the run has to be something that happens. I mean, that has to happen, right? There's no way. I mean, it's a mobile device. You have to charge it mobily.
When you plug it in, or when you put the screen back into the thing, I mean, I would assume there's some sort of like USB port.
But at the same, I mean, it kind of does look like it jostles in. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, everything's going to wireless charging too. Maybe it's a wireless charging thing.
So then come out with a wireless charging pad. Well,
yeah.
Maybe you still have to plug it in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's what's weird. We're just going to have to see.
It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, that is all speculation. We have high hopes, though. So that is this week. If you haven't yet, you need to go on Facebook.com/Fandom Talk. You need to go on Twitter @GBW Podcast. Find us on Instagram, GBW Podcast. Like it, love it, subscribe, download. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, especially if you appreciate us. So let's all get appreciation happy. Get all rock hard with appreciation. And let's keep moving forward. We love you guys. We're happy that you listen. And that's this week's episode, motherfuckers.
Yeah, guys, have a nice week.
GBW out.
Thanks for listening. Like what you hear? Subscribe now and feel free to drop us a rate and review. Stay current with all things Geeks Between Worlds.